I clutched my belly, feeling another contraction rip through my body. Harris, please, I begged. My voice trembled with pain as I called my husband. Harris, we have to go to the hospital. Now. David hesitated for a moment. He then looked at me with a mixture of guilt and frustration while explaining, I'm sorry, Darcy, but Cindy is going into labor too. I have to go to her. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. Cindy? His ex-girlfriend? He was leaving me to go to her? You're kidding me, I said, my voice shaking with anger. You're going to leave me to go to her? Harris looked at me. His expression remained unchanged as he said in an apologetic voice, I'm sorry, Darcy, but I have to go. You know Cindy is new to this city and knows no one. She doesn't have anybody to take care of her other than me. Had I? I literally ran away from my family and never contacted them for years, only to marry a person who was going to help his ex-girlfriend deliver a baby for someone else by leaving his pregnant wife in labor pain. For the first time in my life, I was regretting my decision of choosing Harris over my family. What about me, Harris? I asked in a trembling voice. My voice was barely above the whisper. My head was spinning and I was finding it difficult to even talk. He gently stroked my hair, saying in a coaxing voice, You will be fine, Darcy. It's just a false labor pain like the previous time. Your delivery date is after 7 days. Don't you remember what the doctor said last time? And with that, he turned and walked out the door, leaving me alone and in pain. Doctor indeed told me that I would feel false pain, making me feel like I was going into labor. But this time, it was not just false pain. I could feel that my baby was coming. I tried to stop Harris, but my voice didn't come out of my throat, and he soon disappeared from my eyesight. I was at a loss for a long time, not knowing what to do. The pain was unbearable, but I knew nobody to call for help. I picked up my phone and checked the contact list. There was only one number saved in my phone, and that was Harris's. Would he pick up the call and come back if I call him? I doubt that. In the end, I just dialed a number while dragging myself out of Harris's apartment. I decided to go to the hospital alone if he didn't come to me. As I came out, holding my big belly, I saw a black Ferrari moving on the road. It belonged to Harris. Tears of hope welled up in my eyes as I put my hands on the belly, saying gently, You are safe, my baby. Your daddy is coming to protect you. I raised my hands to wave at the driver, but the car didn't stop. It kept moving with the same speed. In the passenger seat, I saw Harris holding Cindy's hands, calming her down and sharing the tactics of 1, 2, 3 to help in contraction pain, while Cindy was lying in his laps and about to go through labor. My hands were clenched into fists, and suddenly I felt something rushing out of my private part. Oh my God, I whispered in horror as I felt the fetus moving downwards. I lay in the hospital bed, clutching my swollen belly as a contraction ripped through my body. I gritted my teeth, trying to breathe through the pain. Where was Harris? He was supposed to be here with me, holding my hand and coaching me through this. But he was doing this for his ex-lover, for someone else's baby. I was fortunate that an old lady saw me on the road and immediately helped me get to the hospital. I can't imagine what I would have done had the kind lady not helped me. I looked around the sterile hospital room, feeling a sense of panic rising up. The nurse was busy checking the monitors, but there was no sign of the baby's movement. The nurse rushed over to my side. She then said in a concerned voice, Ms. Darcy, I'm going to check on the baby's heart rate. Can you try to relax for me? I nodded, trying to focus on my breathing, but my mind kept wandering back to Harris. Did he not care about me or his baby? How could he leave me alone in this situation? I looked at the nurse, who was trying to avoid my gaze and was looking extremely worried. What's going on? I asked her. Why are you looking so worried? The nurse hesitated, looking uncomfortable. I'm not supposed to say anything, Ms. Darcy, but I think you should prepare yourself for the worst. I felt a chill run down my spine. What did she mean? But before I could ask any more questions, another contraction hit, leaving me gasping for air. The nurse rushed to my side, helping me to breathe through the pain. As the contractions intensified, I couldn't help but wonder why Harris was not with me. Didn't he promise me that he would be with me when I would deliver the baby for him? After going through the hard C-section surgery, I was advised to take a proper rest and then try walking along the corridor. After taking enough rest, I began walking along the corridor. My legs came to an abrupt halt as I heard a familiar voice coming from the door beside me. It was Harris's voice. It sounded somewhat cute and funny. A female voice also sounded from inside. I slowly opened the door, peeking through the crack to see what was going on, and what I saw made my heart feel like it had been ripped in two. Harris was sitting on the couch. A huge smile had spread through his face as he played with a tiny baby. But it wasn't our baby, it was Cindy's. I couldn't help feeling betrayed and hurt. How could he? How could he be so happy and carefree with his ex's baby, when just yesterday he had left me alone and in pain to go to her? I watched, frozen in shock, as Harris gently put the baby on his lap, cooing and laughing with her. Cindy sat beside him, smiling and chatting with him like they were old friends. She is so cute. What will she call me, Cindy? He asked excitedly. You are his godfather, Harris. If you don't mind, I will let her call you Dada, she replied. Harris laughed before saying excitedly, I like that. She will call me Dada then. I felt a pang of jealousy and hurt. Why was he so happy with her, when he had never shown me that kind of joy and affection? Just then, Harris looked up and caught my gaze over them. For a moment, we just stared at each other, with no one talking. The only sound that heard was the gentle cooing of the baby. Harris' face sank and he looked away, clearing his throat. He then turned to me, asking hesitantly, Darcy, what are you doing here? Then, as if remembering something only now, he looked down at my stomach. After noticing the lack of baby bump, his face instantly turned pale. He looked up to meet my eyes as he asked excitedly, Have you delivered already? Why are you asking now? Do you even care? I blurted out. He chuckled. He immediately passed the baby to Cindy and stood up, saying, "Darcy, let me explain." I felt a surge of anger and hurt. Explain? He wanted to explain, after what I had just seen? I shook my head in refusal. Tears were formed in my eyes, but I didn't let them fall. No, I refused him in strict voice. I don't think there's anything to talk about. And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving Harris and Cindy alone with their happy little family. But Harris chased after me saying, "Darcy, you are taking me wrong. It's not like this." I walked as fast as I could, my legs trembling with anger and hurt. Harris chased after me, calling out my name. "Darcy, wait, please listen to me." But I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear his excuses or his justifications. I just wanted to get away from him. I finally reached my ward's entrance and burst through the doors, gasping for air. Harris followed close behind. He grabbed my arm and pulled me back. "Darcy, please," he said in a hoarse voice. "Just listen to me," he requested with a pair of pleading eyes. I brushed his hands off my arms. My eyes were burning in anger as I asked in cold voice, "What do you have to say, Harris? That you're sorry? That it was all a mistake?" Harris hesitated for a moment before saying, "Darcy, I can explain," but I cut him off. I asked in a loud voice, "Explain? You want to explain? You left me alone in labor to go to your ex's side. You held her baby in your arms and smiled at her like you were still in love. What is there to explain?" Harris was taken aback by my outburst, but he quickly regained his composure as he said in a low voice, "Darcy, I swear, it's not what you think. Cindy and I, we have a history, yes, but I'm committed to you, Darcy. I love you." I laughed bitterly as I asked in a sarcastic voice, "You love me? If you do, then you really have a funny way of showing it," I added. Harris took a step closer to me, his eyes burning with intensity as he begged, "Darcy, please, just listen to me. I'll do anything to make it right." But I shook my head in refusal. "It's too late, Harris," I said. My voice was cold and detached as I added, "I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see you. I just want you to leave me alone." Harris's face fell, and he looked at me with a mixture of sadness and regret. But I didn't care. I just turned and walked inside my ward. He still chased after me. As he walked inside, his gaze fell on the empty cradle. His face turned dark as he asked in horrific voice, "Where is our baby?" His words cut deep through my heart. I couldn't help laughing. I laughed ironically before asking, "Our baby? What do you think would have come of it after you left me alone in that situation?" Harris's face turned pale as he asked desperately, "What do you mean, Darcy? Where is the baby?" "The baby is gone," I replied without showing any emotion. "Darcy." He called my name before pulling me in his embrace, saying gently, "It's okay, we will have another." My knuckles were tightened on his words. I was enraged on his facade, but I remained calm and said nothing. He broke our hug after listening to the nurse's voice. The nurse rushed in, saying, "Mr. Salvador, your wife is feeling dizzy and can't take care of baby. The baby is crying continuously. Can you please go and help her?" "What? What happened to Cindy?" he blurted out. He subconsciously took a few steps forward, rushing to see Cindy, then came to abrupt halt after realizing how nurse mentioned Cindy. He looked up at me, his eyes showing guilt and concern at the same time. He wanted to say something, maybe explain why they addressed Cindy as his wife. But he was more worried about their safety than my feelings, and immediately left without any word. However, I didn't need him to explain anything to me. He took Cindy to the hospital, stayed with her the whole night, and helped her during contractions. It was obvious that the staff would take them as couple. Seeing me lost in my thoughts, the nurse commented, "See, how worried this man is for his wife. But where is your husband? Shouldn't he be here with you?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry on her words. The person she was praising was also the person she was cursing. Just then, another nurse who attended my surgery walked in, holding a baby boy in her hands. She announced in excitement, "Congratulations, your baby is out of NICU. He is okay now." Yes, I gave birth to a baby boy. But he had drunk dirty water before birth and had jaundice, so he had to be admitted to the NICU. I had only mentioned that the baby was gone for treatment, but Harris assumed he was gone forever. But now seeing him so concerned about his ex's child, to not even bother asking about his child's body, if he assumed him dead, I thought it was good that he thought that way. Just then, a man came out of the hospital's curtains. He looked up at me with questioning eyes before asking, "So, what have you decided then?" "I'm going to divorce him," I said flatly.